Yo, what is going on, guys? In today's video, I will be giving you a one-to-one guide on how to play 99 Nights in the Forest, because I see people with low amount of days in most lobbies, and timestamps will be on the screen if you already know some things. Well, let's get into the game. Alright, so as you can see, it does say to chop trees and place wood on the fire. So that's what we're gonna do, and I do not have a class equipped for this video. Alright, so now first off, after getting the fire to 100%, you're better off to start looting, because you can have structures like coal or anything else just to upgrade the campfire as much as possible. And for what you want to go for is probably one of these two beds before going for the child the next day, which I'll get further into later. Okay, so it looks like the child is already here, so just open the chest and just start looting around for fuel or any kind of scrap resources you can get for the bed. So as of right now, I just now received the good axe, which will be crucial for wood grinding later. Okay, so after the trip, I got a piece of coal which upgraded the fire, another piece of coal, some more scrap, and even more coal. It's also important to memorize structures as well, like stuff like these usually have a piece of scrap right here, or just small little things that can just boost you in the slightest. Just go out of your way and grab whatever you can. Okay, so I have now killed the wolves, but you may notice that I'm doing this at nighttime. That's because on the first day, the deer just sits there and just looks at the campfire. So you can really just keep exploring for the entirety of the first day until it becomes tomorrow. Okay, so now just put in whatever fuel you got, and it is nice to stock up on food, so don't feel bad if you get a little bit of extra food. And now we can get the child. And there we go. The first missing child is now here. So now what we're going to need to go for is these two beds will be our next goal. Okay, so now let's upgrade the crafting bench. And it's personal preference on which bed you go for first, but in my opinion, getting 5 or 6 scrap is way easier than getting 20 pieces of wood. But like I said, that's entirely up to you. Once your sack gets filled up like this, make sure to grab the one piece of log that's left over, or just whatever else you can grab, because like I said, the small things that can help in the slightest will make a big impact later on. So now that I have all the wood placed in, let's get the old bed, and now let's just start looting and maybe get some more resources to help us get the good bed. Alright, let's see what we can get out of this chest. We have gotten a spear. The spear is actually very good for fighting things. With the fast fire rate as well as the damage, it is in close comparison to a strong axe, but it can definitely do a lot of damage. Also, just a small little quick thing, the deer isn't like necessarily tracking you on the second night, so feel free to start moving around, but just play cautious with your flashlight. Alright, I'm officially back from yesterday night. I have gotten a good amount of food here right now, and now I'm just going to deposit all my scrap to save up for the good bed. But today I probably will end up going for the child, since the campfire is now officially level 4. Also, another tip to when you're fighting anything dangerous, whenever it's aggro on you, it only hits you from the front. So all you gotta do is just start circling around it, and they can't do a single thing, rather than just sit there, take the damage, and eventually die. Now, doing this technique will definitely take some practice, and you might sacrifice the first hit, but still, the value out of what you can get is still worth taking that first hit. Alright, killed the last wolf, got the blue key. That's all you have to do is just circle around any enemies that's trying to hit you. Now, I don't necessarily know about bears. I'm too scared to try that with bears, but I wouldn't necessarily try it. But by the time you get to bears, you'll more than likely have a gun. So at that point, it's just free loot from there. Okay, let's get this kid real quick. There you go, got the second missing child and 2 beds closing up on day 2. I'm not trying to speedrun this in any way, but I'm just telling you what I would usually do during my videos or just when I play casually. Okay, and it's never bad. Most people tell me that to never craft the sundial. Sundial and the map is such a waste and all this and all that. It's not really too bad. I mean, if you have the extra resources to buy it, just go ahead and buy it. I mean, it's just gonna sit there and it's just kind of useful information seeing that anyway. So don't feel pressured when you buy the map or the sundial thinking that you wasted resources. If you have plenty and you know what your team is trying to go for, don't do anything, just feel free buying it. As I said about the wolves, the same thing goes for cultists. All you gotta do is just circle around them and they just eventually die. For crossbow cultists, it's a lot easier since more than likely they're just gonna be missing their shot. And then, there you go, they just die. So, like I said, a lot easier on crossbow cultists, but it does work on any entity that's trying to kill you. Now eventually, if things do get tight like they kind of are right now, you might just want to straight up go for wood just to get the biofuel processor or just for the campfire in general. Okay, crafting bench level 3. Now I have enough scrap. All I need is wood to get the next bed. Okay, before this mysterious group makes his way toward my campfire, I must craft the good bed. Now I will be going at about a multiplier of 5 days, which is actually really good, closing off of the 4th or 3rd day I lost count. But like I said, same goes for the cultists. Just start looping them around and they just die. Nothing too complicated about it. The first night of cultists should only be 2 of them, which it should be a lot easier to kill. And while the cultists are here at your base, you can just run wherever, because while the cultists are here at your base, you can just run away because the deer would always just sit there and watch you. So as long as it's not daytime by the time that you kill them, you have an extra 2 minutes to loot wherever you want. Alright, let's put the logs into the grinder. And now I will get the biofuel processor just so I can get fuel into the campfire and get level 5 as soon as possible. Okay, and now that I approach this medical house, something that most people don't know is that once you collect these things, right now, what I'm probably doing probably looks normal to you, but really it's not. These chairs you can also pick up and use as 3 separate pieces of scrap. So whenever things are getting pretty tough right now, you can always pick up these scraps and just carry it back to your base for free metal. Whenever you're in a situation like this, to where you're trying to go back to your base and you're holding something, or you don't have a flashlight, you can always outrun the deer for a little bit, or he just gets stuck. But you can always outrun the deer by just sprinting. But now the deer will speed up over time as he locks onto you, so you cannot be trying to get back to camp for so long. But it does work long enough for you to gain a little bit of distance and make it back to the camp safely. Alright, just made a crock pot. The crock pot's not really too bad. Most people don't really know this if you're not trying to get to like 500 or 250 days. But you can actually use carrots in the crock pot for a reliable and easy food source. That's why the farm is mainly used by people trying to go for 500 days, thousands of days, or just the leaderboard in general. And back to the carrot topic, I just wanted to say one more time that the carrot can also be used for biofuel. Just saying. A lot of my friends ask me this as well, since we're on the topic of biofuel. Is wood better by itself or in the biofuel? It is significantly better in the biofuel, by about 40% to double. I don't know the exact numbers, don't quote me on anything, but it is better guaranteed. Okay, our next structure will be this plain thing with a bunch of fuel, which is good. Now, always use the biofuel as kind of a last resort, but it is still pretty useful for the passive fuel gain. But always go looting. Looting is always more worth it than grinding wood and putting it in the biofuel processor. Okay, so when you're in another situation like this and you have the ability to have a flashlight, don't just hold it out like this. Oh, like my flashlight's doing right now, boom, it just burnt out. Now I can't use it for a little bit more time. So instead of just holding it like this and waiting for him to inchly get closer, just flash him once and keep moving. It stuns him for just as long and it saves your flashlight battery by a ton. Alright, last piece of coal, campfire level 5. Now we can get significantly better loot and get the next child. So that covers about the basics of the early game. As we go into day 30, that is basically it. So now we're going to go into the other mid-game stage, which is basically just better items and how to use them efficiently. One problem that most starters have is just when and when not to run away. Like, this is the only structure that you're usually never going to see me looting, because the cultists are already enough, and the fact that there's also wolves there is just not ideal. And for what it gives you, it may or may not be the best. Okay, I will be getting the tech tonight, but same goes for what I've been doing. Just keep looping them around and they can't do anything but sit there and take it. See, this is what I mean when the deer just kind of stands there. Like, I can go all around it and it's running. Yeah, but it's not going to do anything. You can be anywhere around and these cultists can be alive and it can be just nighttime and you'll be totally fine. Here, I am just doing this to show you guys, but if the cultists are still alive, you will get this debuff that goes upon your campfire that decreases it by 2 times. And with rain, this can stack up to 4. Alright, now we have the next cultist gem. And see, the next thing you would need to craft right now would be the giant bed, depending on if you're struggling with fuel. If you're struggling with fuel, then it'd be good to go with the oil drill. But in this case, I'm not really struggling too bad with fuel, so the giant bed would be more optimal. Okay, now we are at the third child. Now that I also have acquired a revolver and a rifle, I can show you guys what I was talking about. The animals, they take headshot damage. Headshot meaning they do way more damage than they're meant to be. So if the bear is faced away like this, shoot him with a revolver and then shoot him with the rifle in the head, doing critical damage while also using your ammo in the most efficient way possible. And then one more thing to say about it is when you're using the revolver and the rifle, you can switch like this, and there you go. The ammo is reset instantly upon switching your weapon back and forth. Okay, the deer is approaching, but I do have 35 seconds. So I must grab the child and leave as soon as possible. Just because the deer is angry also does not mean you cannot flash it. It can always be flashed, but it is very, very fast. So just be careful of where you're at and how you perceive that. And just a little thing to say, I've been rewarded 2 diamonds, and that is for reaching day 50, which it has not come on screen yet. Now it has come on screen. But for reaching day 50, you get 2 gems, and for reaching day 100, you get 3 gems. Alright, now that I will be getting attacked tonight, I'd like to show you guys just a quick little idea with the stakes that I have placed down here. Okay, more toward the start of this video, I did say how the looping strategy does work for crossbow cultists as well as the melee cultists, but necessarily, when you have the defense stakes like this, you want to target the crossbow ones first, and then just keep looping around the stakes for the melee guys. You don't have to do a single thing. All you have to do is take care of the crossbow guys. If looping wasn't easy enough, it just got easier, just knowing that these melee guys will instantly die. And this also is my 3rd raid, so they do have Morning Stars, which is a kind of mace that does a lot of your health. See, I just got hit there, and I took a ton of damage. But notice how I only had to kill 2 cultists. The stakes and everything else did it all by themselves. And just a quick thing to say, now that you have 3 cultist gems, you can go for the crafting workbench 4 and the giant bed or oil drill. This is personal preference to get the crafting bench 4 and then wait for the giant bed or oil drill, but I just wait to get the 3rd cultist gem before going for one of these, so I can just get them both at the same time and just keep progressing from there. People always ask me if the pelt trader is ever worth it. The answer to that is yes, it is indeed worth it. Like, if I were to get this on the earlier days, a good sack, when my luck would be terrible, would be insane right now. But since it's one of the earlier levels, it's not really the best. But you know, it does get better eventually. Like revolver ammo, this isn't too bad for a secondary weapon choice. But now the alpha wolf pelt and the bear pelt does get pretty difficult to get, but it does end up being worth it. Okay, now let's max out the campfire to the availability of getting the final child. While we're at it, let's just craft the other workbench as well to try and save up for the giant bed. Alright, so just another quick thing for speedrunners. If you guys don't know this, or if you're not speedrunning, you can just reach the child from a distance and put it in your sack. You don't have to walk up and then click E. You can just like click F and the child just instantly goes into the sack. And just to tell you, it doesn't matter about what structure you go to, depending on what kind of loot you get. There could be a watchtower right next to the campfire, and it would give me a bunch of old flashlights. That doesn't mean you should perceive watchtowers of having just flashlights. The further out you are away from the campfire, the better the loot gets. So never loot around the campfire when you're maxed out like I am. Okay, now the last child has officially been rescued. Now, since this mysterious group is making their way toward my campfire, I'd like to show you guys one more tech using this missing kid location sign. Okay, so since this may just be the last 2 cultists left, if you just go around the sign here and just sit here, yes, you might be out of your base, but this will give you time to maybe regen or shoot their feet or do whatever you need to. But if you're doing this against a crossbow cultist, make sure you get further back or else they can hit your feet in this tiny little area right here. You can also hit them in some ways as well. So it's just a free win for everybody. And just one more funny thing, if you haven't noticed by hovering your cursor and seeing the flame sign, cultists are fuel. Also, just something small that not many people notice, if you look up, you can actually see where the thunderstorm cloud is, just to make sure that you won't get struck. Maybe when you're chopping down a tree or just standing still, you will not get struck if you look up and just see where the cloud is. Alright, now we can craft the giant bed and get the maximum number of days added to our multiplier. We have all 4 beds, and all 4 children, meaning that the multiplier will be 9 days. So now at this point of the game, you've more than likely maxed out your campfire, gotten every single bed, and every single child. So now, what do? I didn't include the cultist stronghold, since I didn't really know if you guys wanted to see that. So if demand is popular, tell me and I'll make a separate video on the most efficient way on how to beat the cultist stronghold with the least amount of heals possible. But if you're just going for 100 days, the cultist stronghold would be the perfect stall out just for the extra 21 days to get to day 100. And just one more thing to tell you, you do not need max tools to beat this game whatsoever. I just survived with a good axe, a giant sack, an old flashlight, and even leather gear. You do not need strong stuff to beat this game if you just play strategically, and that's what this video is for. People ask me, when you click on the diamond to get it, where's the diamond? Why isn't it in my sack? If you could see in the bottom right corner, you have a diamond counter. This is another type of currency for the game that allows you to buy classes, which can greatly increase your gameplay depending on if you're playing with friends or just your preference in general. So no, it is not something that goes in the grinder. Okay, I'm just wanting to tell you guys this, but this is all you need for just a proper game. You don't need many farm plots unless you're trying to go for vegetarian. Wood rain storage or shelves are not necessarily needed. Unless you're trying to AFK in the late game, then wood rain storage can be pretty optimal. Bear traps are not necessarily needed. Same for torches. Lightning rods are pretty convenient, but you only need one of them. Biofuel processors, I mean, they'll help. Boost pads, not really the greatest. Same with teleporters, is the same thing as wood rain storage and shelves. You're only going to need it in the late game, and it's just not really the greatest. And the ammo crate, that's another late game item for maybe cultist strongholds, or just if you want extra ammo. But this is really all you need to survive 100 days efficiently. Alright, just like that, we beat it in an hour and 15 minutes. And now it's time to talk about classes. As I did mention, the gem currency is used to buy classes, in which what class should you buy? So, in my opinion, I think that the lumberjack has the best value. You have a chance of getting logs, and it's easy to level up by just chopping down trees and planting saplings. Ranger is the highly anticipated class, because you can easily get the first 2 children with ease with the revolver and the ammo, and maybe even the 3rd child if you get level 3. But Scavenger is a very good budget choice, being only 25 gems, and with what it provides makes it insane for, well, scavenging. The Camper is not necessarily the best. I mean, you spawn with a stew, you're going to eat that within 3 minutes. The Medic is only used for when you have friends, or just if you want to help out. Same for the Cook. You only use it when you want friends around, or if you just want to help the team. The Hunter might be the worst value I've ever seen. Increased meat drop rate. When it gets more to the late game, you're not really going to need any pelts, any meat, or an extra trade. You're not really going to need any of this in the late game, but in the early game, this could be kind of optimal. The Brawler isn't really the best class. Plus 20% health, plus 30% damage. It does seem good off rip, but really it's not that good. Maybe if you max it out, but it's kind of overrated. Now the Assassin class, I'm not even going to talk about this. It's just personal preference. The Katana is better than the Spear with faster attack speed with the exact same damage. Throwing knives, I think we know that those are just kunais. And then you have the Critically Strike, 10% chance for throwing knives. It is a very balanced class and is definitely worth 500 gems. But let's be honest, no one's getting that. Obviously what I said is just my opinion, so do not take any of this seriously, and this is all up to you on your choice on what you would like to do. So thank you for watching this video. This is the 4th video on my channel, so if you do want to say that you've been here since the start, please subscribe. It means a lot to me as a small content creator, and we are just now rising to 300 subscribers. So again, please subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video, and have a great rest of your day/night.